Today we're going to look at Gold 200 and 120. Now I love Gold 200. I've shot a lot of this film over the years. And why am I doing the test today? Because cost of film, the film price in 2024 has become prohibitively expensive for so many films that are out there. And this film is a relative bargain. So, I just checked on B&H's website, and Portra 400 for a 5-pack of 120 is right around $65. That's a lot of money. A 5-pack of Gold 200 is $31. So a relative bargain compared to the other films. Now, I love Portra 160, Portra 400, Ektar. I tested all those films for Kodak back in the day. Matter of fact, in the description, I'll put a link to reviews that I did years ago when those films first came out. So what I'm expecting from Gold 200 is good exposure latitude. It's going to be a little warmer than the other films. Probably won't be quite as nuanced, because the reality is Portra 400 and 160 are really based on motion picture cine technology. This is an older gen style film. So if you like Portra 800, you might like Gold 200. Those two films are based on older technology. Now, the camera that I chose to do this test with is my Noblex 150UX Pro. This is a 6x12 centimeter camera, produces a beautiful, I'll turn it on here, a beautiful swing lens. Absolute great camera, really wide, angle of view, and it's incredibly sharp. Probably one of the sharpest cameras I've ever owned. Now, I chose a scene over here that's a little challenging. It's gonna have, as you can see, highlights and shadows and lots of detail. So we're gonna really be able to get into the scene and see just how good this film is. What I'm really looking for is exposure latitude and what the overall color rendering of the scene is. We're going to be using my Pentax spot meter so I can accurately measure zone 3 through zone 7 so we can really take a look at just how good this new film is. All right, so we're in the air-conditioned studio, thank God. And I've got my Jobo up and running, mixed up a fresh batch of CineStill C41. And as soon as it finishes processing, we'll dry it, pop it on the Imicon, and see just how good those Gold 200 negatives really are. All right, so I'm taking a look at the image now, and I'm really impressed. The overall contrast, tonality, and everything is really beautiful. The film does run a little bit warm. Obviously, depending on how precise your C41 is getting processed will affect the color, and also depending on the type of scanner you use will also affect the color and the dynamic range that you're able to get out of the film. In my case, I scanned this once again on an Imicon 646 at max res for a 120 piece of film, and it produced just shy of a 600 megabyte file in 16-bit RGB. If you look at the image, it really is gorgeous. It's so clean and crisp. The depth of field is amazing. The color palette to my eye, I think, is quite pleasing. I do see differences between this film and the Portra films. I think Portra films are slightly finer grain, of course, and I think their color balance runs a little bit more towards neutral compared to this, which does run just a little bit warm. However, on that note, this film is incredibly malleable. Like most color negative materials, it would be very easy to warm an image or cool an image and dial it into whatever specific look that you want. But if we zoom in on the image now and take a look at how crisp the victory sign is, look at the separation in the film and the contrast. Everything that I metered completely fell in easily, dynamic range-wise. Underneath the eaves on the potting shed there, that was your zone 3. Matter of fact, inside of the chicken coop in the back, that was like a 2.5, and I'm still keeping just a little bit of nice detail. The sky was well over zone 8, and look, it's perfectly there. Nothing's been lost. So I think that this film has a really good dynamic range. I think the color is very nice. And for the buck, it's hard to say no to. Couple of little things that I did notice, though. The negatives are quite curly. Now, maybe it's just a role that I have. I don't like to make judgments like that 100% until I've shot a lot of film. But my film was quite curly. Fortunately, in the Imicon, it was easy to get it flat. But if you were using like an Epson style holder, it might take a little bit of effort to get that film perfectly flat in the holders. So that is one thing to be aware of. But overall, though, I think in terms of exposure latitude, this film is absolutely 2 stops overexposure, no issue. 100, 50 would still work fine under most applications. In terms of underexposure, 200 is just spot on. 400 is absolutely usable. Once you get to 800, though, still a very usable negative, but those very low tones, as you would expect, your zone 3s, maybe a low zone 4, your zone 2s for sure, are really dropping off into an unusable area. But besides for that, I think the exposure latitude is quite good. Once again, it's not as big as a Portra 400 is, which has just got a monster exposure latitude. But for a film that costs half the price, I, for one, am really impressed. Thank you very much for listening. I can't wait to hear your thoughts. Now go shoot some film.